when it comes to sports nutrition, there is a blind spot, as Winter mentioned. If you want to write down a quote, this is a keeper. This is kind of Yoda. This is a Yoda quote. There's no such thing as overtraining, only under recovery. And if you begin to think about what that means, human performance happens in recovery. It happens late at night when you're asleep and when the body recreates itself and manifests and the adaptive response. And if we can help you recover faster, higher, stronger, that's a performance advantage. And so when it comes to food and using food as a weapon, you know, food makes the body work. Good food makes the body work well. Great food makes the body perform. And when it comes to eating and feeding, you know, the Ferrari called you, you know, there's kind of three things. Food does three things inside of you. Beyond the joy of eating, food does basically three things. It fuels and gives you energy, number one. It builds matter, number two. Builds mass and matter, number two. And the third pillar is the blind spot. It conditions function. And what I mean by that is it conditions physiological function. It conditions physiological performance. And so you've got carbs, proteins, and fats, and calories, and kind of the gasoline, kind of the part of the conversation. And then you got everything else. And let's call that the oil. Well, you need gas and oil. And the oil in that high performance car that is you, the athlete, it's vitamins and minerals and enzymes and antioxidants and phytonutrients. What's that? It's thousands and thousands of plant chemicals. And when it comes to conditioning physiological function, I want to give you a concept, and you can write this one down, called food conditioning. Condition your mind, you can condition your body, you can condition your body, you condition physiological function with food. And when it comes to plant food has all of that biochemistry that you need to condition function. It's all of everything else, the oil, the vitamins, minerals, enzymes, antioxidants, and phytonutrients. And when it comes to plant food conditioning or conditioning physiological function, you really want to talk about three things that condition and bring the body to life. It's the activation of function, it's the modulation of function, and it is the protection of physiological function. And what I mean by that is activating vascular capacity. What's that? It's the endothelium, allowing that blood vessel to expand and contract. It's maximizing and sustaining energy output. What's that? It's preserving mitochondrial density. What's that? You know, that's a thing. You know, activating your metabolism so you're an efficient machine. When it comes to modulation, modulating immunity, modulating your epigenome, your microbiome. You know, we're more flora and fauna than we are us. And that whole microbiome piece, modulating that and having that in stasis is important. Protection from oxidative damage, protection from inflammation. When athletes inflame their body every day and you want to recover fast, protection from glycation. And so when it comes to plant food conditioning or food conditioning in general, you want to activate, you want to modulate, and you want to protect. And in the end, that's where plant powders come into play. I was introduced to this idea of plant powders 18 years ago, made immediate sense to me. I understood right away it wasn't a milligram vitamin cocktail, it was plant matter. And that matter mattered. And I understood produce, you know, produces. It has a compounding effect over time. It may not mean much in a day, in a week, or even a month, but you play that out over the long haul, and that's where a performance gain begins to occur. And that conditioning effect, that conditioning function with plant matter, these plant powders, I was introduced to the idea, made immediate sense to me. Like, what part don't you get? The harvesting, the juicing, the drying, the crushing into powders, the mixing. And so I was kind of think different, made sense, simple, keep it simple, stupid, and it was execution, right? Nutrition is only as good as your execution. So in the execution part, I knew as an athlete, I needed to be consuming 12 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. I was introduced to this concept after I retired, but immediately coming to folks like Winter and say, hey, if you're an athlete, you got 12 servings a day minimum. 12 servings of fruits and veg every day minimum. I don't know of a lot of athletes that do it. Why? Because fruits and vegetables don't service that caloric requirement, don't service that caloric need to get 8, 9, 10,000 calories. Doesn't mean you can't eat them. You just got to be an A gamer at eating well. And you got to have good oil and good gas. And so these idea of plant powders helps you bridge the gap between what you know you should be doing and what you're doing. So at a double-digit servings a day, plant powders are an ergogenic, simple tool that made sense. And the brand leader in that is Juice Plus. They're kind of the Prince Racket, or the Shape Ski, or the Google search, or, you know, they're the market leader in the category of plant powders. I was introduced 18 years ago, made sense. I've been using it every day for 18 years. I play soccer now with 20-somethings, and they want to be like me when they're 52. It's a compounding effect that comes over time. If you want to improve your adaptive response, if you want to recover faster, if you want to drive physiological durability, you know, I just want to be a truck, right? I want to hit my body hard. I want to get up every day and I want to work. Physiological durability is more like having your body like a truck. And so Juice Plus has pioneered the category of plant powders. There's the market leader. And for me, it's my hygienic health food. Eat it every single day. Well, thank you, Winter, for sharing that. It's wonderful to see a young athlete like yourself who thinks like an entrepreneur. You know, I had no idea what being an entrepreneur was when I was your age. I was so focused on just being an athlete, and I was really intellectually ignorant. I lived a very sheltered life. Life on the U.S. ski team was very cozy. I was taken care of. We had full benefits. I earned cash from my sponsors. I bought my first car, bought my first house. I lived a very insular life, and I had it kind of good, and you know, to see someone like you, and look, the world's changed. You know, when it comes to sponsorships, you're either getting product or equipment, or you're getting swag, but the end game is cash, right? Cash flow. An athlete is nothing more than being an entrepreneur on the field of play. And it took me a while to figure out how to translate my athletic past into the business world. And all the entrepreneur is an athlete on the field of play in business. You know, what does an entrepreneur think? An entrepreneur thinks, I've got something, I want to grow it big. I want to grow it, you know, I want to crush it. I want to kill it, bringing that competitive sort of mindset. And so, look, athletes are ruthlessly practical. You know, they will do what works. If you want to think like an entrepreneur, the way I talk about it is, why don't you think about building your own agency? You know, I had an agent who represented me when I was an athlete, and we profit shared in those cash sponsorships. But the world has changed, and cash sponsorships are hard to find these days because commerce has gotten down to the tribal level. And when it comes to sponsorships, if you just think about the mechanics of what sponsorships are, it's a third party, a company coming to you saying, I want to rent your influence. I want to pay you some swag, pay you some product or equipment, maybe cash if you're lucky. And then in return for that third party arm's length transaction, I'm going to rent you. I'm going to rent your eyeballs. I'm going to rent your influence at a tribal level to then go in the world of enterprise, get in front of people. And so because the world has changed with social media, my question to athletes is, why not own it? Why not own your influence? What you want, what you have, and what you need. Here's what athletes want. Athletes want performance. And these plant powders catch up to that conversation. If you're behind that conversation, plant powders, one of my professional goals is to help pull sports nutrition into the 21st century. And plant powders and recovery and the adaptive response and all of that, I get a lot of fulfillment from that. What you have, you want performance. What you have already, whether you know it or not, is influence. You're a walking billboard of health and vitality and performance, and you're up to something and you have influence. The question is, are you going to stand for something? And are you willing to put your name behind something that has got your back once you do your homework? So you have influence already. How you translate that influence into economic value is up to you. Ball's in your court. You got the ball. And what you need, what you need is cash. What you need is income. You want performance, you have influence, and you need income. Our sponsorship plus approach kind of turns the tables on sponsorships and helps you through this mentoring. We mentor athletes all over the country, help you begin to think like an entrepreneur and take it on and build your own health food agency and generate income. You can be an agent and an ambassador and just retail and get some cash flow that way. But if you really want to generate multiple 5-6 figure income and then build something with equity that lasts well beyond your athletic years. You got a short time in the spotlight as an athlete. What if you could have something that lasts well beyond your athletic years? I was not introduced to this whole conversation when I was an athlete. I was fortunate enough to have some cash. But what I try to do now is help athletes understand that, like, food, diet, nutrition, catch up. 21st century human performance nutrition is a higher form of sports nutrition because it fuels for physiological first. You have influence, Do you want to own it? And if you need income, we have a tried, a proven, fun, fast, and built to last way in the world of independent agents around the world, building agencies to generate income.